Dude,
Ow.
why so angry? What's that about?
I got problems.
Dude,
back off.
Taylor, does it make you a little nervous that when he listens to those songs, he plays the drums, he air drums to them? Does that make you nervous at all?
No, I mean, he air drums to, the wind.
But he doesn't, play guitar. He doesn't sing along with it. He's sitting over there banging the cymbals and everything else.
It's because I want to be just like Taylor.
Because I'm actually singing the whole time.
Oh, you are? I didn't realize that.
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool.
This is Dave and Taylor, of course, from Foo Fighters. Echo, Silence, Patience, and Grace is the new album that comes out tomorrow. You just heard a song called Let It Die. And we've heard much about, I regret I've not heard the album yet. We've heard much about that you guys continue to explore what a Foo Fighters song can be. And you really push the limits a little bit on this one.
What is a Foo Fighters song exactly? Well, I mean, at this point, we've been a band like 12 or 13 years, and this is our 6th record. And with every album we make, we try to plant these little seeds of experimentation so that the next time we make a record, we can elaborate on that. And, every album is like a platform for the next. And so as musicians, you want to keep on growing and doing things that are a little bit different than things that you've done before. And after this long, God bless AC/DC and the Ramones. I don't know how they made the same record for 26 years or
50
whatever.
times in a row.
But I don't know if I could do that, know? And I think we love so many different kinds of music. And I'll go home and listen to, a Ry Cooder record or a Neil Young record. And then I get in my car and I'm listening to Rain and Blood by Slayer, and then at the end of the night, I'm listening to the Amy Winehouse record. And so as a musician, you just want to be able to do as many things as you can. And I'm proud of the fact that that we can have a song like The Pretender, or we can have a song like Home, which is the last song on the record, which is a piano song, and it's just cool. And at this point, I mean, we're kind of through being cool. We're just guys who play music,
Right.
We're too old to be cool anymore.
Yeah.
Now, speaking of your past and that last song we played, and everybody always wants to ask you about Nirvana and Kurt and blah, 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 blah. Why have you not written a book?
I've been asked to.
Yeah, so I'm saying just
I'm a horrible speller, dude.
But there's help with that. No, but I'm just saying as self-defense so that you can just say, look at the book, dude. I mean, just to answer all those questions.
So juicy.
It must drive you crazy. This is your 6th CD, and still.
Yeah. You know what? Here's the thing: is that I used to, when I would write songs, I'd intentionally avoid anything that would bring me here to talking about this stuff.
But that never helped, did it?
Well, no, it kept me. In a way, like if I wrote a song that was like fingernails blue, like people they wouldn't assume that was about Kurt or Courtney or anything, and so I would intentionally divert any of that so that I wouldn't have to deal with it.
Right.
And recently, within the last couple years, especially on this record, I was like, screw it, man. Like I don't care. I've had this conversation a million times, and I don't want to have that keep me from writing something that I want to write. It shouldn't.
But it's got to frustrate you too. That's all anyone.
Well, I mean, people imagine that if I write about death or loss or pain or losing someone, that it's about Kurt, and it's just because it's an obvious reference. They can't imagine that I've ever experienced that outside of that.
Right, of course.
Right.
So, I can't not
I thought
write
that
about
song, Let It Die, I said this earlier, I thought it was about the breakup of Creed.
Oh, yeah. Well, that was
painful for all of us, though.
I mean,
Why'd you gotta bring
a black day.
See, now we're down. Now we're down again.
Brought us back down. Way to go, Taylor.
We need to
let's go to commercial.
Sorry.
I need a hug.
Hey, I have always. There is one question, Dave, I've always wanted to ask about that, and that is, thank God Foo Fighters exists, and as you said, 6 records and 13 years on. But what would have happened had Nirvana stayed healthy and stayed together? What would you have done with all this ambition and all these songs and all these new things that you've been able to do if that band had remained an ongoing concern?
I don't know, man, because a lot of this stuff I was writing and recording songs by myself in my basement studio when Nirvana was still together, and I was doing it even before I joined Nirvana, but I didn't take it seriously or anything, and so I'd probably be doing the same thing. It would just be I'd have my day job, and then I'd have this thing that I'd do in my basement outside of that. I'm not really sure, because actually some of this, there was stuff that I recorded while Nirvana was still together that this this dude in Detroit who had an independent label got a hold of one of the cassettes that I had made, and he's like, "Hey, man, it might be cool just to release like a 5-song thing, just so you could have something to do outside of Nirvana." And I remember thinking, "Oh man, that'd be really cool." And I mentioned it to the people at Nirvana's record company, and they're like, "Yeah, I don't think that's such a good idea."
Gotta keep the ball on.
So I was like, "Oh, okay. Well, I don't want to rock the boat or anything. Just the drummer."
Because you do always wonder. I mean, you always wonder if you had not, been faced with, now I've got to come up with something new. You always wonder how far I have always wondered how far you would have gone into it, or if you would have been content just to be the drummer in the biggest rock band in the world. If that would have been enough for you.
That's not a bad gig, being the drummer in the biggest rock band in the world. I totally enjoy just being the drummer of a band. I think it's really great.
And that's partly why you guessed so much. I
You
imagine
should play
on so
with
many
other
other
bands.
records. and
That'd be
stuff.
cool.
Yeah.
Like a guest drummer with other bands or something.
You think?
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
I couldn't
You
do
should
that.
call some of them.
Hey, let me read one quick email before we take another break and come back and give away some tickets to this show at the Henry Fund and talk about that. And this is from K-Rock listener Joe, who wants to know, to the Foo Fighters, Dave and Taylor, please ask the guys, why is Petra so effing hot?
Why is Petra so hot? Well, for one, she's a musical genius. Petra Hayden, who played violin and mandolin with us on the acoustic stuff, as you could see her on the DVD,
Is so hot.
She's just a genius. She's so.
But how do you play? How do you play on a stage when she's there? How do you concentrate on the words you're supposed to be singing? I think is the question.
Well, she's an old friend of ours. I mean, we've known her for I don't know, a long time.
So you've already tapped it, so the tension's gone.
No, I mean, it's like having your sister in your band or something. You know what I mean?
Tapped your sister?
Jeez Louise.
Let it go.
What's wrong with
Potty
you?
mouth.
Trying to get my head around it. Well, you're the one who came in with the coccyx. You're the one who started it.
That's a tailbone.